Hi, what's going on guys? It's Almond. Welcome back to another Wizard101 video. In today's video, we're going to be going over how to farm the Dream Reaver gear. I know a lot of players are kind of upset that we can't get the hat, robe, boots, wand at the moment, but whenever the Nightmare Dungeon comes out and we review it, I will post a video on a guide of how to do that and which bosses or whatever it may be of how that dungeon might work. And we'll talk about that gear. But at the moment, the only things you can get whenever Wallaru does come to Live Realm is going to be a Thames, amulets, rings, and decks. Now you can still get jewels, pins, and like the pity system, but that's about it. And there are challenge mode bosses as well that you can do for a higher chance of getting these like items. So same thing with the jewels, same thing with the water. Challenge mode should be giving you better rewards, but at the same time it's a longer process to do, and some players are still thinking of how to do those strategies. So at the moment, I'm going to be telling you guys how to farm some of these bosses in a different video, but for the purpose of this video, I will tell you who drops what, because I know a lot of players are confused, and the drop table has actually been switched multiple times, even after test room ended on Friday. So your boy has exclusive content, and I will tell you guys what drops from where. So we'll go in order of what you like, how you fight these bosses, of like where you meet them essentially. So usually the first boss you will meet before any of this is going to be Freddy. Freddy is at the end of Wallaru, and he's considered the final boss of Wallaru, but you know, obviously if you finish the story, you know that Freddy's not technically the final boss. But Freddy does drop a piece of the gear. He drops rings. He will drop you rings, and he'll also drop you circle jewels. So if you want to get the pierce jewels, you want to get the damage percent jewels for your school, he is your guy. And he will also drop shield pins. So if you want to get those resist pins for raids, or just having more resist for PvP, stuff like that, he is a good boss to farm. When it comes to normal mode, he's very easy to do because you can just literally cleanse off the dispel, and then after that, the following round, you can just Skull Incendiate. Pretty straightforward. The challenge mode is a whole separate topic. We'll talk about it in a different video, but I wouldn't worry about that right now, let's say. But Freddy is your guy when it comes to rings, circle jewels, shield pins, and he also does drop the pity reagent, which is the dream water. For my testing, around 2 to 3, but the numbers will be adjusted whenever they come to Live Realm. Just keep in mind, all these bosses will be dropping the pity reagent, but the amount is going to be very dependent on the completion time, so keep that in mind. The next boss you meet in the storyline is Mr. Montgomery. I like to call him Liam, but let's just, for the purpose of the video, Mr. Montgomery. Mr. Montgomery, it's like a 3-person or 3 separate fights in that dungeon if you do it on regular mode. In challenge mode, you do fight him, and then after several rounds, he does summon his shadow. So keep that in mind when you're doing the challenge mode, but there will be a video eventually about how to do that as well. But when it comes to Mr. Montgomery, he will drop you the decks. So if you want those decks that have circle sockets, that is your guy. And I'm personally going to be farming him a lot because I do want the decks, because there's some tech behind it with the circle sockets, and if you already have perfect power pips and you have that extra socket, you might as well put on pierce. You can put on damage. I expect a lot of people to farm him, particularly versus every other boss, because the decks are really good this time around. And then of course, if you want to switch it to the other set, there is a vendor after you defeat all these bosses that you can switch to. So like if I have a deck like the Dream Reaver Life deck, I can switch it to like Eternal, whatever the Eternal set is. It's very similar to how Aeon is, so keep that in mind. But he will drop the decks. He also drops square jewels, so if you want those health jewels, he is your guy, because health jewels are going to be really good when it comes to Live Realm, because when it comes to raids and when it comes to advanced combat, flat res is going to be disabled. So what's the second best option is going to be socketing on these health jewels. And so many people are going to have like crazy like health stats, especially when it comes to raids as well, because if you have around 3 to 4 sockets, depending on your school, you can get up to like 2000 HP, which just from sockets. Now that's keeping in mind that they didn't tweak the health even more, but 500 HP on a square socket is to me wild. But hey, it's still there, and Mr. Montgomery's gonna be your guy. He also drops sword pins, so if you are someone that wants to dual school and you don't want to farm like, you know, the reagents too often, like the pity system, he will also drop sword pins. So all around, Mr. Montgomery is a really good boss. I highly recommend that you farm him first, but if you want to farm someone else that just is purely for reagents, we'll talk about that later in the video. But Mr. Montgomery overall, I think you should treat him as a priority when it comes to farming. Now, the last boss you fight in the story is the Invading Fleets fight, which is the ship combat that basically Pirate 101 meets Wizard 101, essentially. And in that fight, I kind of already went over a video of how to do that fight, but there will be another video whenever the boss does come to live realm, because the fact that you can't use stun blocks anymore. So literally you can still do this with like Scald Incendiate. You can just still do that if you wanted to. You can even flee and come back and do Scald Incendiate. There's multiple ways you can do this fight, but it's at most it's still 2 round when it comes to the regular mode. Challenge mode, I am undiscovered at the moment due to the fact it wasn't working properly in test realm. There are some cheats that I have written down, but I don't want to make a video on it yet till I get to that point in the story when it does come to live round, because some of the cheats weren't working and Snake Turn Order wasn't working, so there's that. But the Invading Fleets will be dropping you at Thames. It also does drop Triangle and Tier Socket Jewels. So if you want to get like the Arch Mastery on the Triangle Sockets, you want to get the Shad rating or the Accuracy, though that's your guy, you know, you can get your Triangle Sockets from there. Tier Sockets, I'm kind of unsure which Tier Sockets it will drop. At the moment we know it's going to be Mana, but I don't know if it's still going to be dropping the 155 health opals. We'll have to see, but that's all I have for when it comes to confirmation, but it does drop tier sockets. So keep that in mind. He also will drop the power pins. Power pins will be dropped from there. So if you want the accuracy for other schools, that is something that you can do. If you want to prep beforehand Wallaru comes out, because I'm not too sure when I'm going to schedule this video, but you can farm Maxine. Maxine in Novice does drop power pins and tier sockets. So hey, getting the best of both worlds, and if you want to pre-farm before Wallaru, that is something you can do. And in the health and power pins aren't getting increased when Wallaru comes out. So if you really wanted to, if you don't want to do the fleet fight, you can always just go back to Maxine. But fleet fight will be more beneficial due to the fact that you are getting Dream Water and you can convert those into whatever pins you want. So there's that. But those are the 3 bosses that you fight within the story mode. So Mr. Montgomery drops the Dex, Freddy drops the rings, and the fleet fight drops the Thames. Now you're probably wondering, where do I get the amulet? Well, Crash drops the amulet, but this is a side quest. Similar to how we had it in Novice, where we had to do a side quest for one of the bosses to get like gear for Novice. Similar situation. So if you want to do the Crash fight, there's a quest that you can do, and I believe it's in the hotel area. I don't remember what's the exact name. You'll see footage in the background, but you can get it from there, and you essentially get that quest and you can basically do Crash right off the rip. It's not like a 3-part quest or anything like that. It's literally just go fight this guy and then you can just fight him. Very easy. I think this will probably be the easiest boss when it comes to farming Dreamwater, because you can just Scald Incendiate round 1 compared to all the other fights where you're kind of locked behind certain rounds due to the fact of certain cheats. But Crash you can do in 1 round if you have a full team. Scald Incendiate, very easy. Crash will drop the amulets, but he won't be dropping any jewels. They actually changed it so Crash will be dropping socket wrenches instead. I got some clarification from Cam and he said that they will be dropping socket wrenches instead. Initially, Crash was dropping other things, other jewels I believe, but time has been changed, and after Friday it was tweaked and now he has socket wrenches instead. He still will be dropping sword pins and will be still dropping Dreamwater, but we don't know what the rates are because the rates will be changed once Wallaru does come to live realm. So in my opinion, Crash will still be the easiest to farm when it comes to Dreamwater, just because the regular variant you can just Scald Incendiate. When it comes to challenge mode, it's still pretty easy compared to the other challenge mode variants of like the fleet fight or the Freddy fight or the Montgomery fight. It's most likely the easiest, so don't expect the Dreamwater of the challenge mode to be drastic. But if we're talking about time efficiency and everything like that, I still think Crash would probably be your best bet when it comes to Dreamwater. But you guys can pick and choose on who you exactly want to farm for the gear. Are you guys going to be farming the ship fight for the Thames, the triangle sockets, the tier sockets, and the power pins? Or Freddy for the rings, circle jewels, shield pins, and of course the dream water, which all these bosses will be dropping, or Mr. Montgomery for the dex, square jewels, sword pins, or Crash, which will be dropping the amulets, socket wrenches, and sword pins. Overall, I think this drop pool is very nice. Socket wrenches, depending on how it works, which socket wrenches it will drop, that would be super beneficial because, hey, I know a lot of people don't like spending crowns on socketing on stuff. If he drops them pretty often, I think that would be a really good farm, and players won't have to spend 100 crowns or like whatever it is every time they get a new piece of gear, because they can just farm Crash and get it like nothing. Very interesting drop table. And if things do get changed whenever we do make it to live round, because anything is subject to change, the Crash change was changed like last minute after Friday, so that's why I had to include that and make sure I'm wait before making this video, because the drop table was changed. But if there is any more changes, I will make either a video or pay attention to the comments below, and I'll leave a pinned comment. I'll even leave this as a pinned comment so you guys can easily see who drops what, and you guys can pick and choose who you want to farm. If you guys want, I can even make like a little loot map. I know Cam usually does them, but if I have time, I can make a loot map and I'll toss it in the Discord so players can just share that around and figure out who they want to farm. So that is it from me, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed me going over the drop table for Wallaru. Be on the lookout for a lot of Wallaru videos. I have a lot still stored up. Not too sure which day Wallaru will come out, whether it be Monday or Wednesday or maybe even next week. But I want to get all these videos out because I am kind of slacking when it comes to the videos at the moment. Just because I've been doing a lot of things. And you guys already know I've been busy with the raids as well. There should be a raid video coming out too later this week, because we did get Gatekeeper of the Apocalypse, and if you guys don't know what that is, it's when you defeat all 3 bosses in the Azteca raid at the same time, or in the same run essentially. So that video will be coming out soon as well, and I'm going to take some time editing that, of course. But be on the lookout for more Wallaru videos. If you guys do want to join the Discord, link down below. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and like I said, I'll make videos on all these fights eventually. But they're all kind of straightforward. If you guys want to see how to do these fights before I make the videos, I'll leave the slides in the Discord so players can just know how to do these fights. But that is it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that type of stuff. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.